From golden boy to ghost. From the Bundesliga's heartbeat to a Premier League punchline. From the next face of Liverpool to the meme they called Agent 007. Goals? Assists? None. The internet laughed. The price tag glared. And a 22-year-old tried to breathe under an ocean of expectation. If you love deep football stories told with honesty and edge, hit subscribe to Infinite Football right now. It helps more than you think, and you'll never miss our next breakdown. Let's be blunt. Florian Wirtz did not cross the channel to count kilometres. He came to build chances, bend matches, and make stadiums gasp. Yet week after week in those first games, the conversation wasn't, "What a pass!" or "What a goal!" It was, "He runs a lot." It was screenshots of sprint maps. It was jokes about 0 goals and 0 assists after 7 appearances. The modern timeline moves fast. So does the Premier League. And when a transfer crosses the 100 million line, patience tends to vanish. But this story is not a hit piece. It's a clear-eyed look at a talent so bright you can't stare for too long, dropped into a system that doesn't yet reflect his best angles. We're going to walk through exactly why the early weeks looked underwhelming, why the off-ball stuff isn't fake praise, and what has to click for Liverpool to unlock the footballer who orchestrated a season for the ages in Germany. First, the weight. Imagine moving clubs with a price tag heavier than the number on your back. Imagine being introduced as the missing piece for a team that just lifted the league. You're young, you're brilliant, and you're human. You step into a dressing room full of established figures, with a new coach who wants pressing patterns to hum like a machine. The spotlight doesn't blink. Every touch becomes a referendum. The calendar offers you Newcastle, Arsenal, Bournemouth, Palace, and Europe. Welcome to England. Now let's rewind and remind ourselves who Florian Wirtz actually is when the water is still. At Leverkusen, he didn't just produce, he conducted. In a side that dominated the ball and territory, he became the metronome and the razor all at once. The numbers were elite, double digits for goals and assists, a contribution roughly every game and a half, often better. But the numbers were just the residue of something more important: control. He bent tempo to his will. He held defenders in his pocket and released them at the last second. He would take a touch in a phone booth, open his hips, and the corridor to goal would appear like a trapdoor. That is who Liverpool paid for. So why didn't it just transfer over with the flight? Because football is not a plug-and-play video game. Let's talk roles. At Leverkusen, he thrived as the left-sided 10 in a 3-4-2-1. He started in the left half space, arrived between the lines, turned on his right foot and stitched quick combinations at a terrifying speed. Because his team usually had control, he didn't have to drop into build-up every other minute. He stayed connected to the front of the attack, where one touch equals danger. Now look at the job he's handed in England. Liverpool, under the current regime, want the number 10 to be a presser, a connector, and a runner. The attacking midfield line is asked to collapse on the ball, trap, and launch transitions. Sometimes Wirtz is central. Sometimes he's drifting to the left. Occasionally he has been parked wide to create midfield overloads. He's dropping deep to receive from centre-backs, spinning out of pressure inside his own half, and then asked to arrive at the edge of the box with the same sharpness he would have had if he'd been resting higher for the last 30 seconds. That is a different equation. Not wrong, just different. Here's where the "he runs a lot" conversation gets both true and misleading. It's true because his off-ball work is relentless. Pause your screen at random moments and you'll see it. He pulls a marker out of the lane to open a pass for a teammate. He darts behind a midfielder at the exact second the opponent glances at the ball. He drifts left when the centre-back has possession to create a pocket for the 6 to receive. He checks short, drags pressure, and then spins into the blind side so the winger can attack the channel. That movement is real value. It breaks defensive shapes, often without a single stat to credit him for it. But it's misleading, because that's the floor, not the ceiling, for a player of his fee and profile. Running does not erase the expectation of end product. Liverpool did not break their record for a cardio champion. They bought a problem solver in the final third. A player meant to be heavy in the box score, not just in the tracking data. The truth can hold both. He has worked a lot. Let's walk inside specific sequences that show both sides of his game. Picture Anfield. Early minutes. He starts level with his marker, a holding midfielder glued to him. The ball travels across Liverpool's back line. If he stands still, the pass into midfield is predictable and risky. Instead, he glides left. Not even full speed, just enough to tilt the chessboard. The marker follows. Space opens centrally. A teammate steps into that void and Liverpool breathe. 2 seconds later, Wirtz cuts back inside, now goal side of his man, ready if the ball is slipped between the lines. He doesn't touch it, yet the defence had to reshuffle twice in 10 seconds because of him. Another moment. Right channel, touchline. The winger receives, checks back, and the fullback is daring him to pass inside. Wirtz has been hiding behind the nearest midfielder, invisible by design. He darts through the seam as the winger shapes to cross. The ball goes to goal instead. The shot is blocked. The crowd groans. The chance never makes the highlight reel, but that run was there, timed to the heartbeat of the play. These are the micro edges that, when the final ball is cleaner and the relationships are automated, become assists. Early on, they often became almosts. Now, the meme. 0 goals, 0 assists after 7 matches. It spread because it's simple. It sticks because it's funny. But the speed of the joke doesn't match the complexity of the adaptation. Every attacking midfielder who has crossed leagues has had a version of those weeks. Different refereeing, different defensive spacing, different pressure triggers, and a league that squeezes your first touch like a vice. Add in a summer of change at Liverpool. New ideas, new rotations, a front line full of players who also want the ball to feet. Suddenly, the automatic 1-2 that came off in Germany delays by half a second in England. The lane closes. The shot becomes a block. The stat stays at 0. Tactical fit matters. Historically, Liverpool's most successful period did not use a classic number 10 as the centrepiece. The midfield three were ball winners and accelerators. They regained, recycled, and set the front three free. More recently, the attacking midfield spot in this team has been filled by players who run like 8s and finish like forwards. They collapse space, hit the box, and press like mad. Wirtz is different. He is an organiser in the final third. He wants defenders to commit to the wrong shoulder. Then, he slips the killer ball. He wants little walls and third-man runs. He plays jazz in a band built on drum-tight 4/4 time. That can work, but you have to arrange it on purpose. That brings us to role clarity. The best version of Wirtz starts left and arrives central. He receives on the half-turn facing goal, not with his back inside a crowd. He wants to combine with a striker who bounces the ball with one touch, a wide forward who runs behind without asking for an extra touch, and a left-back who underlaps to pull a defender away. When he's right-sided or when he drops all the way into the first line of build-up, his angles are worse. The ball sits on the wrong hip. The lanes collapse toward his weaker side. He can still play. He is too good not to. But you've dulled the knife a little. There's also the question of energy management. Pressing at Premier League intensity is a tax. If you are the player who sprints 10 times in 2 minutes to close one lane, then another, you arrive in the final third with a slightly heavier breath. That's not an excuse. It's physics. In Germany, in that Leverkusen side, long spells of possession let him recover between bursts. In England, the game jerks back and forth. You can see the cramp stories in the body language. You can see the brain trying to speed up to the league's tempo while still searching for its preferred picture. We have to talk chemistry. Attacking football is choreography. The difference between sterile dominance and ruthless incision is one player taking 2 steps left at the exact moment another checks short. It's the winger knowing that when Wirtz shapes his body a certain way, the next touch is coming into the channel, not to feet. It's the striker understanding that the third-man run is not a bonus, but the point. That doesn't arrive in a week. It arrives in reps. The early link with a new striker showed promise. Little give and goes, simple walls, one tapped in, one nearly curled inside the far post. Those were glimpses, not illusions. So where does that leave the verdict at this stage of the season? Honest and hopeful. He has not been disastrous. He has not been dominant. He has been a brilliant player, learning a new language at full speed, sometimes writing poetry, sometimes stumbling over the grammar. The price tag makes every stumble louder. That's the game. Now let's flip the script. What would it take to unleash the Leverkusen version in Liverpool red? 1. Fix his starting map. Let him live more often in the left half space, not every minute, not to make the attack predictable, just enough to give him his best angles 10 or 12 times a match. Those are the moments that decide results. That's where he can receive on the front foot, attack the inside right channel with his right foot, or slip the winger through with disguise. 2. Automate a triangle. Left back underlap at trigger X. Winger runs long, striker checks. Wirtz now has 3 options in rhythm. Bounce to the 9, slip the 10-meter pass to the underlap, or clip the reverse to the winger. Drill it until the pass arrives without staring. Drill it until the defenders have to choose wrong every time. 3. Build a pressing release valve. If he is your route to the final third, then on certain sequences, the nearest 8 or winger must absorb the extra sprint so he can conserve a burst for when the turnover happens. That is a trade-off worth making 10 times a game. 4. Embrace almost assists. The fastest way to drag him back into the headlines is to flood the box with shots after his final ball. If the finishers treat his passes like triggers instead of invitations to reset, the scoreboard changes. That means the wide forward attacking the near post channel. That means the far side winger crashing the box instead of waiting for a cutback that might never come. 5. Set pieces. Do not ignore his delivery. When confidence is low in open play, a perfect corner or disguised free kick can be the spark. He has the weight and vision to pick runners at speed. A set-piece assist calms everything. 6. Give him 5 possessions per half without responsibility. Sounds strange, but it matters. Script a few touches where he receives in space after a slow switch, not during chaos. Let him feel the game in control. A calm early rhythm can flip how he plays the next 30 frantic minutes. Let's zoom back to perception. Why do talented imports so often stumble into the same narrative loop? Because the Premier League rewards power and pace with immediate noise. It takes longer for subtlety to punch through the murk. Wirtz's gifts are compact. He doesn't tear grass with every stride. He glides. He turns his shoulder and people fall out of the picture. He doesn't wind up to pass. He lets the ball travel across his body and then fires it between ankles. That is harder to spot live, easier to clip for film rooms than for TikTok feeds. When the goals and assists reappear, the subtlety will suddenly look obvious. There's one more uncomfortable piece. The club's attacking leader has to be incandescent for a creator like Wirtz to cash in. When the star winger is suffocating fullbacks, the weak side lane opens for the 10. When the 9 pins centre-backs, the wall pass is always on. Early in the season, those flames flickered rather than roared. That will change, and when it does, the 10's map lights up. So, how bad is Florian Wirtz actually? He isn't. He's misread by the scoreboard so far, miscast here and there, and missing the muscle memory that made him look supernatural in Germany. The foundation remains. The movement is real. The first touch still cheats pressure. The disguise is still wicked. The end product is waiting behind a door labelled timing. And timing in football tends to arrive for players who think the game 2 steps ahead. Before we close, let's address the idea that the Premier League is just better. Full stop. It is faster. It is more physical. It is deeper from top to bottom. But that doesn't erase the value of the habits Wirtz built. If anything, those habits become more important. The faster the league, the greater the premium on the first touch that allows you to play forward without extra steps. The more physical the duels, the more critical the body shape that uses a defender's momentum against him. Wirtz has those traits. The league is testing his ability to perform them under louder stress. That's a test many greats took and passed after a bumpy beginning. There's an underrated human layer too. New city, new language rhythms, new locker room humour, new food, new media scrutiny, and new noise in your head. People think about tactics like code. They forget the brain wearing the shirt. Confidence is not a myth. It is visible in the choice to try the nutmeg in minute 5 rather than minute 85. It is audible in the scan before receiving. A single goal can reset everything. A single Champions League night can change how your own teammates look for you. He's had flashes on big European stages already. That matters inside a squad. What happens next? If the staff sharpen his role, if the partnerships harden, and if the team's pressing recycles into cleaner possession more often, the numbers will come. Not a trickle, a run. And when it starts, you'll hear the same voices who joked about 007 talk about inevitability. That's the sport. It spins. There's a lesson here for all of us who watch and talk about the game. Great players can be average for stretches while they learn a new football dialect. Average players can look great for a month when the wind blows their way. The work is telling the difference in real time, without the comfort of hindsight. Watch his hips. Watch his starting positions. Watch how many times he offers a pass that a teammate turns down because the angle looks too tight. When those passes start getting taken, you'll see the scoreboard change and you'll swear the player changed. Most of the time, he didn't. The picture did. If you're a Liverpool fan, you do not need to pretend these first weeks were vintage. You also don't need to fear that the club bought a mirage. The underlying game is there. The finishing touches are a matter of fit and rhythm. Be allowed to expect more. Be smart enough to know why more hasn't arrived yet. The best compliments you can pay a creator are patience and structure. Give him lanes. Give him runners. Give him 10 seconds less defending in the red zone per half. Then ask for magic. He'll answer. If you're neutral, take this as a case study in how football narratives form. Price tags warp expectations. Memes flatten nuance. System fit decides as much as individual ability. And the beauty of this sport is that one pass on a cold night can flip a perception upside down. Wirtz is built for that pass. Let's finish with a picture. Late in a big league match. Liverpool pinned, then breaking. Wirtz receives between two shadows. One shoulder drop, one stride. A defender leans. The ball slips diagonally into the channel, perfectly weighted, begging to be hit first time. Net. The stadium detonates. The camera finds him, calm as if he found a coin on the pavement. That is the player Liverpool signed. That is the player we will see more and more as the season breathes. If you've enjoyed this kind of honest, detailed, human football analysis, help us keep making it. Subscribe to Infinite Football, turn on notifications, and share this video with the friend who swears the meme tells the whole story. It never does. The game is deeper, and so is Florian Wirtz.